This is the African Investors Stories podcast with your host, Simon Rushton. Today we have Edwin Mensah. He is from Ghana, but brought up in London, and he has his family, and he has invested in Africa by way of having a pig farm, but he still resides in England, London. He has a degree in sociology and he has a great love for football. Anyway, thank you, Edwin, for turning up today.
No problem, Simon.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to ask you, what's a typical day for you doing business in Kenya? Sorry, in Ghana, as well as doing business, your everyday life things in England?
So I think as things currently stand, it's not that difficult because I've got trust in the people who are looking after my affairs in Ghana, and they're only a phone call away now, like on the mobile phone. So I think modern technology has made it much easier to communicate with people across the world, and definitely for me in Ghana. If there's an issue, and I need to look at something, I can get a video call. If I think about something that hasn't happened, or I think about something that I need to do, I can just pick up the phone and call. And my business associates, if you like, on the other side of the world or in Ghana, are able to respond accordingly. So that does make a massive difference, and I think it gives confidence. I think one thing that's happened in the African countries regarding telecommunications is that they've only known Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and this sort of stuff because in many cases there hasn't been a lot of hard wiring comms. So these guys are always available to speak to. So that makes my life a lot more easier.
How big is the big pig farm?
So the pig farm, we've got we started with only 4 pigs. So we started with 4 pigs, and what we've been doing is crossbreeding with other suppliers. And what that's done is we've now got 25 pigs. So we've actually got some land. I've actually got some land, and our plan is to actually build a bigger, if you like, ranch for the pigs and for other farm animals. We've got a small portion of goats as well, but really the focus is on the pigs. So what we're doing is the land that we've got at the moment, and the if you like, the pens that we house the pigs in is in quite a small area. And we've always known that if the project went the way we wanted it to go, then we're likely to expand. And that looks like what's going to happen, because the growth has been the growth has been a lot quicker than we expected, or definitely than I expected. And so because we've got this land, it's likely that back end of 2020, or middle to back end of 2020, we're probably going to start building on this land. So we'll have sort of we'll have a property for the person who's going to be looking after the pigs, and then we'll keep the pigs in pretty much, they'll be free range, so they can just roam. The land is quite vast, so they can just sort of move on the land as we want them to. So yeah, that's what the idea is.
What are we talking, like 1 acre, 2 acres?
I can't remember how big the land is, because the land is, being from Ghana, the land is actually my family land. So I forget how big one plot is, what they say one plot is.
50 by 80.
Okay, there you go. So it's about, I think it's about 20 plots on that land.
Oh, okay.
So the land is significant.
How long did it take you to go from 4 pigs to 25?
6, about 8 months. So 8 months, yeah, 8 months. And it would have been, we would have had more than that, but we had a litter that all died. A litter of 8 that died.
The infection?
No, it was just difficulties with the pregnancy, but there was difficulties in giving birth. But it would appear that it's just unfortunate. So we sort of had a look at, you know, what went wrong basically, and lessons learned, and we learned lessons from that. But it would appear that because that pig is actually pregnant again. I think she pregnant again. Because the pig, the pig is well, she's fine, but unfortunately the litter just didn't survive. It was a litter of 8. So it's quite a big litter, you know, pigs. Because I think we've had 4s and 6 since then.
I've worked on a pig farm in Kenya, and it was only about a week, and it was a Jamaican guy who had emigrated to Kenya with British, brought up in Britain, and he had about 700 odd pigs.
Yeah.
And the way he kept his pigs were in like an open hut, but it's on the concrete floor.
Yeah.
So they could always keep the floor clean.
Yeah.
And then, contrary to popular belief, pigs actually have sense. They don't defecate where they eat.
Correct.
From what he's pointing out to me. Yeah, and stuff. Maybe I'll introduce you to him later on if you're interested. He can give you some pointers. He was very up to speed. Do you work with Farmer's Choice? Do you sell to locals?
So what we do is, we've sold some pigs actually. We've sold actually a few pigs actually, and it's likely that depending on growth and depending on how quick we can sort of build a new premises, we may have to sell some more. The plan is not necessarily to sell yet. The plan is generally to crossbreed with other pig suppliers, but we have been selling locally. So the idea is to sell locally at this point.
Mm-hmm. How many, I'm not sure what you call it, the females, are they fowls? Is that right?
Yeah.
How many fowls do you have?
I can't remember the number of the genders. I think we have approximately 4 fully grown females. No, 6. I think it's 6 fully grown females. I should have had these numbers for you, Simon. Apologies. We've got, and then we've got some younger females. So obviously with pigs, everyone wants the females generally because obviously they're going to provide the litter. But what we have, and we do have an arrangement with another pig breeder, if you like, pig farmer, in that if we cross with them, we share the litter, right, as opposed to paying up front for the crossing. We share the litter. So so those arrangements also have helped with the growth.
Okay. I was told when I was on the pig farm that you keep a certain amount of females to males, because the males can only have sex twice a day and then they're exhausted. These were massive pigs. I don't know how big your pigs are, but these pigs are like
the fully grown ones. We generally keep the sexes apart anyway, and we keep them the litter, the younger ones away from the old ones also as well. So that's why we want a bigger space, so that you can sort of partition off the areas where different pigs are, different age groups are. And then then put them together for breeding at certain times.
We found that the pigs, there's two issues that was on that pig farm. One was their urine became like acid, and it would corrode the metal. But the other thing is, when the women pigs were in heat, they would virtually break down the fence to get to the male, or try and climb over, which is amazing because the fence was at least 1.3 meters high.
Right. And so that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why we have the arrangement with our local other breeders, because of this very reason. So we're aware of some of those difficulties that can come from that when the female is ready for breeding. So the idea basically is, once that time is upon us, we sort of act quite swiftly to make sure that we don't miss the moment.
Yeah.
But that's why we keep them separated.
Yeah. It's usually, I was told, a week after they've given birth, they want to get pregnant again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really it's interesting.
Yeah.
What made you make the decision to invest in Africa?
Okay, so obviously I'm from Ghana. I go to Ghana every couple of years, and I actually, we have property in Ghana already. So property was always is always a default situation that tends to happen in these matters. But when people are looking at investing in Africa, but I was actually looking at, I have been exploring the idea of possibly moving to Ghana for good, or setting up, having a
like splitting your time.
Pretty much. I mean, it's difficult to say I'm going to leave the UK because I've got young children, so that's got to be considered. School and all these, family that they have as well. So moving the children to Ghana is not the issue. It's more about the family that they're going to miss if we totally move. So I was already sort of exploring jobs within government, so just to see what was available with my skill sets and what I could get into. And then this pig farm, sort of the opportunity came to me, I suppose, when a family member asked me to come. I was with a family member who sort of went to see their friend who had the pigs, essentially.
Some people say, as Westerners, I can't remember, are you born in Ghana?
No, I'm actually born in the UK, but I lived in Ghana when I went to Ghana for a few years when I was younger. And even though I'm English, I do consider myself I'm British. Excuse me. I consider myself Ghanaian, so it's a very dual nationality. I speak the language, eat the food, know the areas, know the country. So, yeah.
Some people say, coming from a Western country, you shouldn't be seeking a job. You should be starting a business. How does that resonate with you?
Do you know what? I think it's about exploring opportunities as they present themselves. So I believe that if I was to get a job in government, I could support the country because I'm working for the government. so I can support the country in developing. Equally, if I have my own business, I can support the country, because hopefully I would have the business becomes bigger, larger, so we can employ people. So, you know, I think it's how opportunity presents itself is what you do, because I think for me, it's what can you bring to the country? And so if you're working, you should be able to bring something to the country. If you're setting up a business, you should be able to give something to the country, or present something to the country. So, so either way, I don't have I generally think it's what can you offer? Because if you have a business, for example, if I set up a business and that business is just leeching off the country, which is generally what happens, then for me, you know, it's by the by. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if what I want as a Ghanaian, I want the country to develop. I want Ghana to develop. I want Ghana to reach its full potential. So whichever way I can help with that's what I would want to do.
I understand. You can help from within, make a bigger impact from within if you're in government.
Yeah.
But then for those who set up a business, wouldn't you say that they're bringing skills?
Yeah, if people
creating jobs.
Yeah, so if people are setting up businesses, that's the other side of it. Creating jobs. That's what we want, people to create jobs. But we want people to create jobs, and we want people to create jobs and pay and upskill the local community, and local people, and pay local people fairly. And that doesn't always happen.
That's an interesting statement there, because when you say pay local people fairly, are you compare it to London rates?
No. To what people should, it's all relative, isn't it? So what people are paid in Ghana, what people are paid in the UK, in the US, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, whatever, it's all relative. But what I'm expecting is that people are paid for adequately for their skill and their labor.
But somebody would say, by what measure, though?
By the measure of what other people in the country are paying for the same similar activity.
Okay, so for instance, I know in Kenya, you have two scopes of wages. You have the real working class, and then you have the middle class. And the real working class, they could earn anywhere between, like the helpers, 8,000, which is like $80, to what, $200 a month. Okay, so it's just those are it's an interesting point you brought up there, because I've had this conversation as an investor, and I usually get people who are local who say, yeah, but people get paid this in England. And I say, yeah, but you lot don't really pay taxes here.
Yeah. And also cost of living has to be factored in. So, you know, when people compare themselves to the United Kingdom, for example, cost of living, you know, someone's weekly shop in the UK for a family of 4, if you compare that weekly shop of probably £100 or close to that, a weekly shop, and then you took that £100 and you took it to Ghana, people, and I said I'll spend this, they'd be flabbergasted. They'd be flabbergasted about that amount of money. So it's all relative.
Yeah, I suppose we also have our rates here, our rates where you have the London waiting.
Yeah, you got London living wage. So we've got London living wage and national living wage.
Yeah.
And so again, and that's a great example actually. What is relative? So the London living wage, someone in Manchester can, the government deem it, and it's rightly so, cost of living is a lot more cheaper up north than it is in the south of the country, or definitely in London. So that's where we have the London living wage, because things in London cost a lot more than they do anywhere else in the country. And that's what I mean. Things in African countries generally will be a lot cheaper than they would be in the UK. So wages or payment for work would be a lot cheaper when because you're looking at is the standard wage for doing whatever job it is.
What was the most valuable lesson you've learnt from doing this pig farm?
So I think it's about development. I don't know if I think I'm still learning. So I don't want to say, oh, I've got it to a T. I think we're all of us are learning different things about the animals, different things about crossbreeding, different things about how to invest the money, veterinary fees, how the animals respond when it's really hot, how they respond when it's raining, when it's cooler. Things that you pointed out, you said something about when the pigs not wanting to urinate where they, defecate where they, sleep, if you like. All of these things are things that we've learned. I think at the moment, one of the main things that we're looking at is how to organize the development that we're looking to do moving forward. So we've got to look. So when I say that, I mean, how long will it take to build the premises on the land? How the design of that? Because what we want to do is design it so it's future proof, so that we can just, if the farm becomes bigger and bigger, we can expand the farm without necessarily having to break down too many walls or do, so we want to try and future proof the design. So it's things like we want to be quite considered in what we're doing moving forward. So in terms of what one thing I've learned, I think we're still learning at the moment.
Okay, I see what you're saying. This guy Len, who had the pig farm, he's expanded his pig farm again and again. He's got 5 acres, and I see that with him, he kept the main point of entrance in and out. That always stayed the same.
Right.
The only thing was he positioned the office at the end of the day in the middle, so as he looks in out any window, he can see all view of the pigs and the workers.
Right.
And also it's like you have runs, so you have runs of where you want the kids to go, or say kids, and runs where you want the females to go, and runs where you want the men to go.
Exactly.
And that should be able to be kept segregated without people's animals crossing each other's path, and then also you've got the security element for your own livelihood. So okay. Which is there anything you would do different? It's a bit of a
again, no, it's a fair question, but again, at this point, we're not finished yet. So I don't think I can answer that question.
There's nothing that you've done and you thought, oh, I need to change that.
I think probably the thing that I don't, like, being Ghanaian and knowing about land, we've built our current farm on someone, even though it's not the biggest farm in the world at this point, we've built it on someone else's land, and that's the only thing that
you're ever indentured servitude,
right? And that's the only thing that makes me uncomfortable. And because the person is paid for their land, but because they're seeing that the potential, because they're seeing how quick the growth has been, they're sort of talking about, oh, well, maybe you need to pay me a little bit more rent. And this is the thing that but we've already agreed a price. So this is the stuff that makes me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And maybe I would do it. I would have been a bit more patient, and built on my own land.
Okay. Do you feel if you moved there that you would miss? Oh, no, let me put this in a different way. What I experienced when I was living in East Africa is that there was certain attributes that I just thought if I was back in England, we wouldn't be even having this conversation. Things would just run smoothly. Is there moments when you're there and you just think, this is not how it's meant to go? There's something you just miss.
Yeah, so my thoughts on that are, I don't think that at this point. I don't think that, because the people that are looking after the animals, the main person who looks after the animals, like, loves animals. So for him, it's not even looking at too much of as a business, you know. So, but as much as we say, as much as the problem is that we are socialized in a certain way. So we're socialized in a British way, and when we look at, let's say, how some of the business practices in Africa, we perhaps think that they're not organized. But in the same breath, if a man in Africa is working for you, he's just going to do the work. He's going to get on with it and do the work. You know, he's not going to start contacting the union because you asked him to do something different, or because you've added a new task to his job role. So there is a bit of give and take with that stuff. I think it's the way we're socialized and the way we are, you know, work is presented to us. We feel that, you know, what they're doing or the way that they operate is perhaps not the best. And I'm not going to say that. I think that there's pros and cons in each model. I think there's pros and cons in each model. So yeah.
Okay. I take it you chose Ghana because of being, like you said, family land.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish that you had done this earlier?
Yeah, but again, I think that it's how opportunity presents itself, and I think I didn't do it earlier because I didn't look at moving to Ghana as a viable option at the time, but now I definitely do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I take it that's nothing to do with the Brexit.
It's got nothing to do with Brexit. It's the fact that I'm looking at Africa, and I believe that African countries are not living up to their full potential. African countries they've got people, which equals labor, got natural resources, so the country should be doing a lot more.
Did you know most African countries, their populations increase 1 million a year?
Right.
So if you think of that, that's phenomenal compared to London or United Kingdom in the sense of labour resources and
exactly,
and requirements for what people will need.
Right. So for me, it's how are we using those people? How are we using those people? Because the people are a resource. So the continent is not using those people. You know.
Would you? I know you said you've been going there from a young age. Would you say, as the man you are today, and since you started this business, that your mindset has changed?
In what regard?
In regards to just your whole investment and the way you see the society. Yeah.
No, I don't think my mind's changed. I've always known what my country's like. So no, I don't think there's been a change now. I don't believe I have. No.
Did you understand? We understand that you're married. Was it an issue convincing your partner, your family, that let's do this move, let's make an investment, so we're going to be there someday?
No, not at all. That was just like a foregone conclusion that at some point that's what we should do.
Okay. Education. Regarding your education, do you feel that it's helped you, your degree, in what you're doing out there, or do you think you could have
Possibly, because I suppose it helps you manage people, manage environment better, but not necessarily.
Okay. I take it that you have a dual citizenship passport.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry about all the paperwork and things like that. Okay, that's good. Right. Would you encourage other people to invest?
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage people to invest, but I think the thing about investments are, especially when you're asking someone to invest in something that they can't see, it's quite difficult. And I think people have to buy into the idea of Africa, the idea of, Africa's perceived in a certain way. So people are anxious about getting involved, and it's about unlearning people's perspectives of Africa.
Okay. Final question. If you had to do it all again, would you?
Yeah, definitely. I'd probably do it sooner.
Okay.
But
right.
yeah, I would definitely do it again.
Okay. Well, last thing, if people wanted to get in touch with you because they're interested in they're doing something in Ghana, or they want to do something in Ghana, they want to, or collaborations with pigs and stuff, where would they find you? You've got email or social media?
Yeah, I've got no social media, because I'm not trying to sell the business on social media. As I said, we're selling to local markets at the moment, which is okay for us. Okay. And I don't know if farming is the most glamorous thing, especially a pig farm is the most glamorous thing you could have on like Instagram or Twitter. But nonetheless, it help with coverage. But we've got I've got an email which people can contact on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take your email later then, and I can post it on with this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. I'm sure
no problem.
Listeners have learned a lot from your experience. Your experience is somewhat unique so far, because most people who have been guests we've had on this podcast are totally invested in the one side of things.
Right.
Shared investment, where you're partly in London and you're partly in Ghana. But the attribute with what you're doing, you've got somebody who loves what they do, the family member, and is well trusted.
Yep.
That's what's made your life peaceful. You understand the language.
Yep.
So those are attributes that, if you're listening on this podcast at present, that is good to have, or at least make the effort to learn a language when you're investing in someone else's country. Anyway, thanks again, Edwin.
No problem.
And we'll catch up later.
Thanks. Bye-bye.